Good morning, students. Today we are going to start a new topic in the subject of Pure Mathematics 3, and the topic name is Trigonometry. And our first topic in the trigonometry is Graphs of Trigonometric Function. This is very important topic in this topic of trigonometry, so concentrate yourself. The subtopic in the topic of Graphs of Trigonometric Function is simple form of trigonometric function. So we are going to discuss different graphs of sine theta, cos theta, tan theta, etc. So look now, the first graph which we are going to discuss is of sine theta. So the diagram shows the graph of y is equal to sine x in the interval minus 360 degree to plus 360 degree. So this is the range in which this graph will be made. So the first step will be make a table like which you have done in previous classes in O levels especially. So first we will make the table of sine theta in the interval of minus 360 to plus 360, and then we will draw the table, draw the graph. And from the graph and from the table it will be easily seen that curve has a maximum value of 1 at minus 270 and plus 90 degrees. So the first thing which you have to mention in the graphs is the maximum and minimum value, and at which values they are obtained, this also have to be mentioned. So the maximum value of sine theta that can be obtained in this interval is plus 1, and that is obtained at minus 270 degree and plus 90 degree. So from the table you can see it when you will make the table. So from the graph it can also be seen that plus 1 is obtained at, look now, minus 270 degree and plus 90 degree, and a minimum value of minus 1 is at minus 90. So look now, minus 90 degree and plus 270 degree. So I'm giving you a tip for this thing is, once you have find the maximum value and the relevant degree values, so look now, plus 1 is obtained at minus 270, so minus 1 will be obtained at plus 270 degree. So look now, minus 1 is obtained at plus 270. So plus 1 at minus 270 and minus 1 at plus 270. Likewise, 1 is obtained at 90 degree plus. So minus 1 will be obtained at minus 90 degree. So this is a key point that will make question easy for you people to handle in the paper, in the exams. So the first thing that you have to mention in the paper is the maximum and the minimum values of sine theta, cos theta, tan theta, and their relevant angles and their respective angles. So plus 1 is obtained at minus 270 degree and plus 90, and minimum value of minus 1 is obtained at minus 90 degree and plus 270 degree. And the next thing which you have to write in the paper is the curve cuts the x-axis at, so look now, the curve cuts the x-axis at minus 360, so this is the point, then at minus 180, so here is the point, then at 0, so look now, this is the point, then at plus 180, and finally at 360 in this range. Okay, two things which we have discussed. Next, okay, the amplitude is 1. So amplitude is the maximum distance from this stationary line. So here is the stationary line at which angles are given. So the maximum distance is 1. Either it is from upward or from downward. So the third thing which we have to write or mention in the paper is the amplitude. And the final thing is the period. Period is one complete cycle. So from here one complete cycle ends at this. So look now, this is the half cycle and this is the complete cycle. So minus 360 to 0. This is 360, or you may see on the right side as well of the origin. So from 0 to 360. So it means the period of one complete cycle is 360 degree. And finally, the range is, so range is the maximum and minimum values. So maximum value was 1 and minimum value was -1. So the range is y is greater than or equal to -1 and lesser than or equal to 1. Okay, and very final thing, in case the angles are given in radians, so if we are required to give the answer in radians, we replace 180 degree by pi. So this is the thing. So I'm advising you learn and understand these concepts, because these simple concept of sine theta will be applied in the graph of the sine of the other form, like sine 3 theta, sine 5 theta, sine 8 theta, up to so on. So if you learn and understand these concepts, the rest of the questions of sine will be much easier for you, which you will see in the which you will see later in the same lecture. Okay students, if you have understand the graph of y is equal to sine theta, then the graph of y is equal to cos theta will be much easier for you, because the same things will be discussed again. So look now, the diagram shows the graph of y is equal to cos theta. So first we will make the table for the given range, and the range in this question is given -360 to +360. So x is greater than or equal to -360 and lesser than or equal to 360 degree. So first we will make the table and then we will make the graph. So from the graph it can be seen that maximum value is 1. Likewise of sine theta. In sine theta we have the maximum value 1. So in cos theta maximum value is also 1. So the next thing which we have to mention is the respective angles at which maximum value is obtained. So one is obtained at -360. So look now, and at 0. So look now, this is the 0 at which maximum value is obtained, and the third value is +360. So these are three angles at which maximum value of sine theta is obtained, that is of cos theta is obtained, that is 1. Next thing which we have to discuss, the minimum value and their respective angles. So the minimum value is -1, likewise of sine theta. So in sine theta and cos theta, the maximum value is +1 and -1 in both sine theta and cos theta. Okay, in cos theta, the minimum value of 1 is obtained at -180 degree. So you can see from the graph, or you may see from the table as well, and 180 degree. So this is the angle. So this thing is discussed now. The next thing is the curve cuts the x-axis at, so look now, the curve cuts the x-axis at -270, then 90 degree, -90 degree, then +90 degree, and finally 270 degree in this range. So this is also discussed. Next thing which we are going to discuss is the amplitude of cos theta. So the maximum distance obtained from the stationary line of the graph is, the maximum distance is 1 on both sides, so the amplitude is 1. The next thing which we are going to discuss is the period. So period is one complete cycle. So if you see from -270, so that end at 90 degree. So you can see the period is 360 degree. So period is same again for sine theta and cos theta. And final thing is also same, that is range, because in cos theta maximum value is 1 and minimum value is -1. So the range is y is greater than or equal to -1 and lesser than or equal to 1. So this is the cos theta. So I'm again advising you, if you understand the concepts of cos theta and memorize these concepts, the rest of the graphs of cos theta, for example, cos 2 theta, cos 3 theta, cos 4 theta, cos 5 theta, will be much easier. You have to remember and memorize the concepts of maximum and minimum values, the amplitude, the maximum minimum values and their respective angles, the complete cycle, the range. So these are the concepts which you have to understand and memorize. Okay, next we are going to discuss the graph of y is equal to 10x. So again, the range is given -360 to +360 degrees C. Again, we have to discuss the same values, the maximum and minimum values of tan theta in this range and the respective angles. Next thing, the curve x-axis cut at the points, amplitude and period, etc. So these things have to be discussed in the graph, and you have to memorize and understand these concepts. So because if you understand and memorize these concepts, the rest of the graphs of the tan theta will be much easier for you. For example, tan 2 theta, tan 3 theta, up to so on. So look, now we are going to discuss the diagram. Shows the graph y is equal to 10x in the interval -360 degree to +360 degree. First we will make the table and then we will draw the graph. So here is the graph that is drawn. Okay, look now, the curve has no maximum and no minimum values because the curves are disjoint. So because these are not jointed, so these are disjointed curves. So that's why the curve has no maximum and no minimum values and no amplitude. Likewise, because the curve are disjointed, so it means amplitude is not there, because we are not able to find the maximum and minimum values from the graph. So it means no maximum and no minimum value and no amplitude. Okay, next thing that we are going to discuss is the curve cuts the x-axis at, so look now, the curve is cut at -360 degrees C. The next value, the curve cut the x-axis at -180 degree, next at 0 degree, next at +180 degree, and next at 360 degree. Okay, the next thing which is new in this graph is the asymptote. Lines are x is equal to -270. So this is the line at which the reflection is given. So look now, at -270 degree, at 90 degree, at +90 degree, and at 270 degree. So these are the asymptotic lines on the x-axis. So, and finally, the period is 180, because after 180 degree the process is repeated. So like this, after 180 degree again process will be repeated, at 180 degree again process will be repeated. So the period is a 180 degree. So these are the concepts of the graph of tan theta. So look now, if you have understand and memorize the concepts of sine theta, so here is a graph now, y is equal to a sine bx plus c. So this is another form of the sine theta graph. So only difference is the coefficient and these values. So previously we have discussed the graph of sine theta, and here is the graph of y is equal to a sine bx plus c. So look now, the same concepts will be used almost. So if you have memorized these concepts, this graph will be much easier for you. So first, the thing that is required in the graph is the diagram shows the graph of y is equal to a sine bx plus c. The curve has a maximum value at c plus a, So look now, if this point is called C, so the maximum value will be at C plus A and at C minus A. So look now, the minimum value will be at C minus A. So C is the middle point. So if middle point is there, so the maximum point will be C plus A and the minimum value will be C minus A. So look now, from the curve, the maximum value of C plus A at respective angles are, the maximum value is 270 minus 270 over B. So in the graph of sine theta, the maximum value was obtained at minus 270 and 90, and minimum value was obtained at minus 90 degree and plus 270 degree. So if you have learned the concept, so you will remember the maximum value in the sine theta graph will be was obtained at minus 270 and 90 degree, and the minimum value was obtained at minus 90 and 270. So we will write the same values and we will divide the values with the value which is written with x. So here is B. So look now, divided by B. Rest of the line will be same. Look now, the curve has a maximum value of C plus A at minus 270 over B, 90 over B, and the minimum value of C minus A at minus 90 over B and 270 over B. Okay, the curve cuts. So if you remember the concept of sine theta where the x-axis was cut, so x-axis was cut by the curve at minus 360, minus 180, 0, 180 degree and 360. So in this graph, you will just divide these values with B. So look now, B in denominator. So rest of the line is same. The curve cuts the line y is equal to C at. Okay, the next thing is the amplitude is A. So because this C is the middle value and maximum value from the middle value is A, so that's why the amplitude is A. Okay, the final thing is the period. The period in the graph of sine theta was 360 degree if you remember. So the thing will be same here, just divide 360 by this B. So the amplitude is A and period is 360 over B. And the final thing is the range, because maximum value in this graph is C plus A and minimum value is C minus A. So look now, the minimum value is C minus A and the maximum value is C plus A. So that's why range is C minus A to C plus A. So this is the graph. So the same thing. Okay, the next graph which we are going to discuss is the diagram shows the graph of y is equal to A cos bx plus C. So if you have learned and memorized the concept of y is equal to cos x, so same concepts will be applied in this graph of cos as well. The only difference is the graph is of A cos bx plus C. Okay, look now, first we will make the table and draw the graph. So the same things will be discussed because I have told you earlier the things are almost same for sine theta and cos theta. So look now, the curve has a maximum value of C plus A and the minimum value is C minus A. So if you have remember the concepts of cos theta, you may see that the in cos theta, the maximum value was obtained at minus 360, 0 and plus 360. The only difference in this graph will be divide the values by B because the value is B with X. So minus 360 over B, 0 and 360 over B. And the minimum values were obtained in cos theta at minus 180 degree and plus 180 degree. So the only difference will be divide with B these values. So look now, so this is the middle value C. So the maximum value was A above it, so that's why the maximum value is C plus A. and the minimum value is c minus a. Okay, first thing that is done. Next thing that is which we are going to discuss is the curve cuts the line y is equal to c. So if you remember the concept of y is equal to cos x, the curve cuts the x-axis of cos x graph at minus 270, minus 90, plus 90 and plus 270. The only difference will be divide these values by b. So rest of the line will be same. The amplitude in this graph is because a is above and below the middle point, so that's why the amplitude is a. And the period, so period in cos x was 360, and in this graph of cos will be same, like 360 will be written and this b will be in denominator. And the final thing is the range. So maximum value is c plus a and minimum value is c minus a. So y is greater than or equal to c minus a and lesser than or equal to c plus a. So this is the graph of y is equal to a cos bx plus c. The next thing which we are going to discuss is the graph of y is equal to a tan bx where a is greater than 0. So if you remember and have learned the concept of y is equal to tan x, the same concepts will be used here. Look now, the curve has no maximum and no minimum values because disjointed curves are there, and no amplitude as well. So look now, this same line is written here in this graph as well. Next thing, the curve cuts the x-axis at, so in tan x graph, the x-axis was cut at minus 360, minus 180, 0 and 180 and 360. So only difference in this graph of y is equal to a tan bx will be divide these values by b. Okay, next thing is the asymptote in y is equal to tan x graph were at minus 270, minus 90, plus 90 and plus 270. The only difference in this graph will be divide these values by b. And finally, the amplitude in y is equal to tan x was 180 degree. So the difference in this graph will be divide 180 by b. So look now, the same concepts will be used. So this is the thing. First, remember, learn, understand the concepts of y is equal to sin x, y is equal to cos x and y is equal to tan x graph. So these things will be much easier for you people then. So look now, here is another question. The statement is sketch the graphs of the following functions and find their range, period and number of cycles. So number of cycle is the new thing. You have read the range and period. So look now, first the requirement is sketch the graph. So first we will take some values of x in this range. For example, every 30 value or every 60 value. So 0, 60, 120, 180 up to so on, up to 360 degree. And we will put these values into x and solve it on the calculator to get the value of y. And then we will draw these values on the graph. So this graph will be obtained. So further look now. Requirement is find the range. So from the graph you can see the maximum value that is obtained is 2 and the minimum value that is obtained is 0. So look now, the maximum value is 2 and the minimum value is 0. So range is the requirement. So range is f of x is greater than or equal to 0 and lesser than or equal to 2. Next thing that is required in the question is period. So look now, from this point to this point, the period is 180 degree. So 180 degrees the period. And the final thing is number of cycles. So look now, what is the concept? What is the formula for finding the number of the cycles? So The given range is this 0 to 360. So in numerator we will put 360 minus 0. So look now, 360 minus 0, and in denominator the period will be placed. So 360 minus 0 over period. Solve it on the calculator. So there will be 2 cycles in this range. Okay, look now, the next graph which we are going to discuss is f of x is equal to 3 cos 3x minus 1. So first we will make the table, take difference of 30 degree. So x is equal to 30, 60, 90, 120, 150 and up to so on, and put these values of x into this equation. Solve it on the calculator. You will get the values of fx and then draw the graph. So this graph will be obtained. So from the graph you can see the maximum value is 2 and minimum value obtained is minus 4. So the first thing that is required in this question is the range. So that's why f of x is greater than or equal to minus 4 and lesser than or equal to 2. Okay, the next thing that is required is period. Okay, so from here to here or from here to here, if you can see, the period is 2 pi by 3. And the final thing that is required is the number of the cycle. So look at the range of the question. So the range is, so look now, the range for the second part is from minus pi to plus pi. So the number of the cycles will be obtained by subtracting maximum minus minimum. So pi minus minus pi over period. So look now. So here is the number of the period, pi minus minus pi over 2 pi by 3, because period is 2 pi by 3. So these are the number of the cycles. So likewise in the third question as well, the third question is here. So y is equal to fx is equal to 2 tan 2x for this range. So first we will make the table by taking suitable values of x. So for example, x is equal to 30, 60, 90 up to so on. So putting these values into this equation will give us the values of fx. So by using these values we will draw the table, and range is this one. So 0 to 2 pi is the range. So look now, the graph of this thing will be here. So look now, the diagram shows the graph of f of x is equal to 2 tan 2x. So this is the graph that will be obtained. The curve cuts the x-axis at 0, pi by 2, pi, 3 pi by 2 and 2 pi. The asymptotic lines are at pi by 4, 3 pi by 4, 5 pi by 4 and 7 pi by 4. Range is, so period is pi by 2. So because after interval of pi by 2 they are repeating themselves, and finally the range is so the period number of cycles are range was from 0 to 2 pi. So 2 pi minus 0 over period, that is pi by 2. So solve it on the calculator. You will get the answer 4 cycles.